Welcome to the Menopause Hour, your go-to source for empowering answers to your burning menopause questions, the ones you won't get from your OBGYN. Brought to you by Winona, menopause care made easy, and hosted by our experts, CMO Dr. Michael Green and Medical Director Dr. Kat Brown.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to September's live Q&A with Dr. Green and Dr. Kat. I'm Angela. I'm going to be fielding all of your questions and letting our doctors take their pick of your exceptional concerns for the night and addressing them as we can, as best we can. And I am going to let our doctors introduce themselves. Dr. Kat, say hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Kat Brown. I'm the medical director at Winona. I'm based out of the Philadelphia area. I'm in the Philadelphia suburbs and am a board certified OBGYN who's been caring for women my entire career. And now happy to be helping menopausal women and perimenopausal women in midlife live their best life. So if you have questions, start putting them in the chat so that we can have something to talk about. Dr. Green, take it away.
Hi, my name is Mike Green. I am also a board certified OBGYN. I'm the chief medical officer of Winona, and I love answering your questions. So I don't see any questions in there yet, so type faster. We want to answer your questions. And actually, talk about local meetups. We had a really fun one last Saturday.
It was so fun. It was really great.
Finally recovered. Yeah, we did a spin class, and which was my first. And if you want to do something that's really fun and then you can't walk for 2 days, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
But we had 80 women, and we did a real live Q&A in the flesh afterwards. It was a blast. So yeah, if you can get to the New York one, they're a lot of fun, and you can see us in person. And yeah, we really.
So was that your first spin class ever?
That was my first spin class ever. I'm in the gym 3 to 4 days a week, but for me, it's like picking up heavy things and putting them back down. So, we have a saying, more than 5 reps is cardio, Actually, our post office is on the other side of the parking lot. So my wife and I, we lift together, and then when we're done, we're like, well, let's do cardio, and then we walk across the parking lot to get our mail. So
yes,
that's my cardio.
Nice.
I love it. One of the things, so Dr. Green met my childhood friend, Kayla, who owns the franchise that we were doing the spinning at. It's called Star Cycle, which is like Soul Cycle or whatever spinning franchise is popular.
If you're in the Santa Barbara area, I highly recommend it. She's amazing.
She's a pro. She's been doing this forever. But, her big thing, aside from working out, is talking to perimenopausal women about why they need to eat protein. And it's so funny because I follow her on Instagram, and there was a week or 2 or 3 where I think every day she was like, ladies, eat protein. If you're in this stage of life, you need to eat protein, you need protein, you need protein. And so when I saw her, I was like, so I have a question for you. She's like, what's that? I was like, so how much protein? Just giving her a hard time. But I thought maybe while we're waiting, we could talk about, either of you, why for the people at home, for the 7 people in this meeting who aren't asking any questions, that maybe we could inform them or give them a little bit to go as to why do you need to up your protein?
It's really important. Actually, I have this advice for patients all the time when they message me, wondering when the weight loss is going to start, like when they start their HRT. And that's one of my first questions is, how much protein are you getting in? Dr. Green and I both recommend to patients that they do a nutrition audit, like they do a log of what they're taking in. And I think a lot of women don't understand how much protein they need. And I think when we're younger, our body can extract the protein a little bit easier from things that we eat. And then in midlife, I think we have to be a little bit more conscientious about our intake, because if you're not getting enough protein to maintain the muscle mass that you have, you're not going to lose any fat, because your body is in this mode of retaining every bit of calorie, and it's not going to burn the fat for calories. if you're not giving it enough protein to burn for calories for your energy expenditure. So often, we think we're getting enough protein if we have protein with each meal. But like me personally, I'm 5'8", is my height. And for my height, when I looked at all the calculators out there, like there's different body types. Like you can be an endomorph or an ectomorph or a mesomorph based on your muscle makeup. But based on my body type and my height, I found out I need 120 grams of protein to really get enough protein. And when I was doing my nutrition audit, thinking that I was doing good, I was routinely between 60 and 80 on a daily basis. I wasn't getting enough. So there's other ways that you can supplement and that you can get extra protein. For me, I do Fairlife nutrition shakes. They're protein shakes. And I get them at Costco because I like to get everything at Costco. But anyway, they have different protein shakes. And they're okay for you if you're okay with dairy. If you're not okay with dairy, you have to go through, do other forms of protein, maybe like whey protein, do your own shakes at home, things like that. But the Fairlife shakes, they have anywhere from 30 grams of protein in one bottle. And to me, it tastes like chocolate milk. So it's really easy for me to have one of those with breakfast, have one of those, have a coffee and maybe something, fruit, eggs or something in the morning. Because if you don't get enough protein, your body is just going to keep retaining all that extra fat that you're trying to lose. And especially that menobelly, that we tend to accumulate weight in our midsection as we age as women, because of our rising cortisol levels. So if we don't get enough protein in our diet, our body is going to keep using protein and retaining the fat. And so we're not going to be able to maintain the good muscle health and the good muscle mass that we want to keep. And a lot of women are worried about lifting and worried about taking too much protein, thinking they're going to bulk up and they're going to get too big. But if you look at what bodybuilders have to do in order to get the mass that they want to accumulate, they have to take in a tremendous amount of protein. You could probably speak more to that, Dr. Green, because you have a little bit more experience with bodybuilding community than I do. But
Yeah,
they take in a lot of protein.
That always cracks me up. It's like, you're not going to wake up one day and all of a sudden look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It just doesn't happen. I wish it did, but it doesn't happen that way. It's kind of like, I'm afraid to get up on a piece of equipment because all of a sudden I'm going to look like an Olympic gymnast. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. So I can tell you, my wife and I lift 3 to 4 days a week, and she does the same. We do the same exercise routine together. It's one of the things we love to do, and she's very conscientious about her protein intake. And she does not look bulky or huge, but she looks good.
Not at all.
Because muscle mass, first of all, for your health, muscle mass is really important to maintain that muscle mass. It can help, with your bone health. It can help with, your stamina, fatigue, all kinds of important things. But it also makes you look better. And so, let's face it, we all want to be healthier and look better. And so maintaining your muscle mass is really key. And you're not going to turn into a bodybuilder or, the Hulk by increasing your protein. But it is going to help you stay healthy because you really don't want to sacrifice your muscle mass. That's not the way you want to lose weight. And so it's really I think people are now starting to realize it a lot more. We've kind of been lied to nutrition-wise for many reasons, but a lot political. You look at the 4 basic food groups. That was done by the dairy industry, which is why they got their own food group, and basically because they spent a lot of money talking to Congress,
lobbying the FDA, right, and making that food pyramid that we all had to study in school.
Right. So all the nutrition stuff we learned in school was mostly wrong, which is really sad. And so you kind of have to relearn it. But protein really is key. And then, people talk about these macros: proteins, fats, and cholesterols. Proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Really, if you get your protein in and the rest of your calories can just be sort of split between fats and carbohydrates, you're going to be fine. But it's protein that you really need to concentrate on. Looks like we may have some questions.
Yeah, it looks like we finally got somebody who was willing to play with us today. All right, Melanie says, would we please talk about how long women can safely take HRT, and do you need to stop at age 60?
So it's important to start before the age of 60, but you don't have to stop. It's not a hard stop once you hit that age. So for most women, you take HRT as long as you need to adequately treat your symptoms that you're suffering from, the symptoms that are bothersome to your life. And when we were in training many years ago, they used to tell us the lowest dose for the shortest duration possible. But really now we're seeing that there's so many benefits and so many good things that come from hormone replacement therapy and from estrogen replacement that if you're on a low dose and you're doing well with it, there's really no hard cutoff of when you need to stop. It can actually be very protective for your heart, protective for your brain. So if you talk to female OBGYNs that are themselves taking HRT, many of them don't ever want to stop. Because they see the benefits and they really see the positives from the medication. So it's one of those things that when it comes time and you're starting to feel like you want to go off of HRT, have a conversation with your doctor, talk about the risks and benefits, and you can always trial going off the medication and see how you feel, see if your symptoms come back or if you do well without them. But the average woman tends to be on HRT like 3 to 5 years. Sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes a little less. Every woman is unique. So that's something that, we like to cater the treatment to you as an individual.
Awesome. Okay, we have another question. Melanie is also asking if we can talk about the side effects of HRT, that she's heard old studies that have been debunked, but she doesn't know about that. So sounds like there's still some concerns about the debunking. So take it away, either of you.
So there's two different
That's Dr.
things.
Green, yeah.
Yeah, there's two different things sort of that's loaded in that question. Side effects and risks, which really are different things. So risks are sort of bad things that can happen to you from doing something. Side effects are really sort of usually more annoying things that are part of the treatment. So side effects from HRT for most people are fairly unusual and usually pretty mild when they happen. So breast tenderness is probably the most common thing if we sort of overshoot the dose. And some women get that right away at the beginning, and then it kind of goes away with time. But if it's not going away, then sometimes we have to back off the dose. That's probably the most common side effect, I think, especially from sort of overshooting the dose. The DHEA can sometimes cause acne. It's usually temporary and goes away, but for some women, they're just really sensitive to it, or sometimes we need to back off the dose as well. So those are probably the two most common things we see. The oral preparations, so the estrogen and progesterone pills, can sometimes cause some nausea. It can theoretically happen with the patches and the creams, but I think we see it a lot less because you don't have to put it through your stomach and your GI tract. So you tend to get a lot less of that. So those are sort of side effects. Risks are really kind of a different thing. And I think that's what you're referring to in the second half of your question. So there was a study called the Women's Health Initiative study. And it's kind of funny, actually. I was going to bring it up, and then I did it when you said it when we were in training. Because actually, when I was in training, we were told to give hormones to everybody, no matter how old they were, and just keep giving them. And then the Women's Health Initiative study came out, and that sort of changed. And this uses little for as the smallest dose for the shortest period of time possible. And now I think the pendulum is swinging back to a more reasonable place. But the study came out, and really, we bag on this study quite a bit, but if you actually really look at what the study said, it wasn't really that bad of a study. The problem was before the study actually came out, there was all this sort of press releases that got picked up by the papers, and there were these big headlines that, your doctor's trying to kill you with HRT, and everybody went into a panic. And one of the things that the headline said is, it's going to give you breast cancer and all these other things. And actually, that's not really what the study said. What the study said is that, hey, stop giving this to everybody like it's a vitamin. You've got to do a risk assessment and make sure that this is safe. But if you properly assess your patient and you give it to properly screened patients, it's actually very safe. And so if you've had a hysterectomy, actually, estrogen-only HRT decreases, well, at least it doesn't increase the risk of breast cancer, and there's some data that it may actually decrease it a bit. So estrogen actually, doesn't cause a new breast cancer to occur. It can make an existing breast cancer grow more quickly, but it doesn't cause breast cancer. Estrogen and progesterone together does slightly increase the risk of breast cancer. And so that's sort of the risk that people are always afraid of. But if you look at everything in a balance, it decreases your risk of cardiovascular disease, and you're much more likely to die of cardiovascular disease than you are to die of breast cancer. And so because of that and other benefits, you actually have on HRT, if you're properly screened, you have a better chance of living longer and living healthier, which is really what it's all about. And so it decreases the risk of heart disease, osteoporosis, dementia, Alzheimer's, certain cancers like colon cancer. And so in the whole, it actually decreases your risk of bad things happening to you rather than increase your risk. So that's kind of a kind of differentiation between risks and side effects, which really are, sometimes we kind of talk about those together, but they're actually two kind of separate things. So HRT for the appropriately screened patient is extremely safe. And the risks are really very small. And the other thing, like, I was kind of surprised that my wife, when I brought this up to my wife, was surprised about this, but it actually is much safer than birth control pills. So people just like think about, take birth control without thinking about it, but actually they have a lot more risk than HRT. It's just that, you know, people are younger, and so it's less likely for something to happen to you when you're younger, but the actual risks are higher. So risks of things like blood clots and these kind of scary problems. So HRT is actually very safe, and in the whole, good for your health.
Dr. Green, I have a question about the birth control situation. So like, it's obviously really common, I think, in my experience, even before I came to Winona, to have like your in-person gyno say, oh, you're having perimenopause symptoms, like, we'll just put you on birth control, when like I didn't need to be on birth control for any other reason. And it was like, here, we'll just give you this, right? So like, why is that the easier suggestion? It's just people are used to prescribing it, or what's the situation there?
Yes. It's because it's what they know in their tool bag. It's what they've been prescribing their entire career. And so it's like a crutch. It's something that they go to instantly, that they had the experience with. Especially, you know, we were talking about, like, you know, the younger generation of OBGYNs don't have a lot of experience with menopause and don't have a lot of extra training because of that pendulum swinging so far the other direction as a result of the WHI study. So, you know, as a result, you have an entire generation of physicians that aren't comfortable with HRT, and are now, like, as they're getting older, they're relearning it for themselves. You know, they may have studied a little bit, but they just don't have the experience level with it like they do with birth control. So,
yeah, that's
if you look at the day in the life of an OBGYN, you spend most of your time taking care of pregnant women and women that are trying to avoid pregnancy. That's what you do. That's your bread and butter. And then you spend a good amount of time doing surgery and, you know, working people up for surgery, hysterectomies, and, you know, different surgeries that we do.
Saving women from bad periods, you know?
Yeah. And then you spend a very little bit of your time doing hormone management and helping women through the menopause transition. So it's actually a very small part of a normal OBGYN's practice. And most don't get very good at it for that reason. Whereas at Winona, this is kind of what we do all day long. And so we become experts and are very comfortable with it and understand the nuances and the differences between birth control pills, for instance, and the kinds of hormones and the doses of hormones in birth control pills and HRT, which sort of brings us to the next question, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about what the question is. Can you talk about what bioidentical HRT actually is?
Yeah, so I mean, the main thing is that the word bioidentical is simply an adjective. And what it means is that if something is bioidentical, it means it's identical to what your body would make naturally on its own. So the main difference when you look at HRT that's available, you know, from a traditional prescription or even birth control, those are synthetic hormones. Those aren't the same biologic structure of hormones that your body would create on its own inside the ovaries. So when we say bioidentical, what we're meaning is that we're giving you estrogens that are similar, that are identical really to the estrogens your body creates on its own. So that's the main thing.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite.
Sorry, it's a little distracting watching things going by in the background.
The big pharmaceutical companies have made this term biosimilar for their synthetic hormones. It's a marketing term. So they're not bioidentical, they're similar. But I think I'd rather have identical than similar. And honestly, we really see a difference. I see that in my patients with bioidentical hormones. They work better. They seem to have less side effects, and safer. The other class of hormone is something called Premarin, which stands for pregnant mare urine. They also call it conjugated equine estrogen. Equine, again, is a term for horse. And it's literally estrogens that are taken out of the urine of horses. And horses have 17, 18, a ton of different estrogens. Very few of those are actually found in humans. And so you get all these horse estrogens, as well as some of the estrogens are crossovers. But that's sort of the other thing besides synthetic. So that would be a non-synthetic estrogen, but it's not bioidentical. Bioidentical for a horse. But I'm not a vet, so a veterinarian.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think that so many patients are shocked when they hear that. But I remember, when I first learned that, I just thought, why would we be getting hormones from pregnant horse urine? It just sounded so disgusting to me. But, that was the gold standard treatment for a long time before, they were able to isolate, estradiol by itself. And, it's just, it's amazing to me that so many women were on that for so many years.
Well, at the time, it was the best thing we had. And so fortunately, science has, marches on, and we get better and better stuff. And now we have bioidentical hormones available. So why would you want to use this old stuff that was when I got out of residency, it was the best thing that was available, but it certainly isn't the best thing that's available now. And yet, unfortunately, people get into this sort of rut, and it's what they're used to. It's what they prescribe, even though better stuff has come along.
1,000%.
Right.
I had somebody actually prescribe that to me after my in-person gyno retired, and I had a nurse practitioner, and that's what I got. And I remember calling my mom and going didn't you take this? And didn't you end up also having a lumpectomy afterward? Yeah. Oops. So it was just I'm not taking that. I think it's interesting though, too, that do we know how come horses specifically, as opposed to any other animals, there's something about horses and research that that became a thing?
I would assume it's the volume of urine you can get from horses, and they're easy to, they're easily domesticatable, and I don't think they're as docile as we think, but I think they can be made that way. So that's my guess. I mean, if you wanted to do it from guinea pigs, you need a whole lot more guinea pigs to get the same volume of urine. So
right.
My guess is that's probably at least part of it.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Melanie, it's just an exclusive live Q&A for you today. So keep asking your questions. You have all of our attention. If you have anything else on your mind. To anyone else in the chat, in case you don't know, we just launched a new face cream, Estriol and Tretinoin face cream. And next month, we are going to have our head of patient services, who's also, she's an RN. Is she a registered nurse? No, she's a nurse practitioner.
Nurse practitioner, yeah.
Nurse practitioner who spent a big chunk of her career as the dermatology nurse practitioner. She's really sharp. Yeah.
Joe is going to be here talking about that with all of us. So if you have questions, if you have general questions, we'll answer them now. But if you have more specific questions, come next month.
I got to tell you, so my wife's been on Tretinoin for a long time, and my wife, is beautiful already. But she's
good answer.
She switched to the Estriol Tretinoin cream that we're making. She was one of one of our guinea pigs, so we did test it on several of us and our wives. And I can tell you, it's amazing, overnight almost how it improved. I'm not one of these guys that notices things, I'm your typical husband. But it was wow, your skin looks great. It's it was amazing to me, to my untrained eye.
That's great.
So I was really impressed. The Estriol really seems to help. So even if you're already using a Tretinoin cream, the addition of the Estriol seems to really be a real benefit.
Well, and the tretinoin's like a low enough amount that you're not getting like skin peeling, because it can be pretty harsh depending on like the amount that's in whatever you're taking. So it's really a good combo because I use it too and I like it. Plus the quality of it, like it's like really like almost velvety. Then it comes out of the pump. Like it's a nice texture. I don't know why it's like that, but I like it.
We spent a long time getting it like that. That's why it's like that. So
Yeah, it's really nice.
But yeah, that's the nice thing. Because of the mixture, you can get away with less tretinoin, but still get a great effect. And so you have less of that irritation.
Yeah. I'm also waiting to see our Facebook sync that we're supposed to have live on that platform. It did not sync today. So I'm trying to resync it as we're talking to see, because I was sort of like, where are other questions from Facebook? Well, not here. So ta-da. Yeah, just really excited for for us to be able to see the stream, but it says it's starting, so I hope it is. I guess we'll see. But in the meantime, I don't know, anything else, guys, that is top of mind that you want to discuss?
This is where we get to play improv.
There we go.
I feel like we should have some Winona trivia or a if anybody cares. I literally have packed 50 plus gift bags to ship to New York. So I've been doing that all day, ready for our events person. You guys both know Mike. He was like, you should just put it in a suitcase. And I was like, just so I could put it in a suitcase, there won't be anything left for me to bring. Like, I'm going to put it in a suitcase. So it's too much to put in a bag that I'm checking.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're shipping it. I was like, it's 50 gift bags. Like I'm not, it's not that they're enormous. It's just that they're 50. So yeah, it's a lot. It's just like, I'm not a light traveler. Even when it's a couple days, I get made fun of a lot, but that's just how it goes. So, Winona events, come to one, people in the chat, if you've never been. Where anybody who's listening, watching, tell us in the chat where you're from, if you don't mind. We'd love to know where you are tuning in from, if you don't mind telling us.
So we know where to go for our next live event. Oh, Madison.
Yay, Madison.
I have a ton of relatives in Madison. That's a great town.
Oh, San Francisco.
Hey, San
Very
Francisco.
Cool.
You know what? I'm hoping to have somebody do a live meetup up there in Pleasanton area, maybe Oakland. Somebody's interested in doing a Winona meetup up there, hosting one. And I was like, great. Winona loves to travel. Where can you send us? Like, we would love to. We'd love to come visit you. So yeah, that's exciting. That's good. I was just telling these two that we hosted a local meetup last night out in Westlake Village here in California, and there was a really fun group of women. So anybody here, if you're interested in doing a local meetup, like if you wanted to ever host one, it's something new that we're trying for people who are Winona patients that have a group of friends they want to get together. If you're interested, I'm going to put my email in the chat and you can let me know if it's something you'd be interested in doing. If you would like to try it out, I can give you the details.
Yeah. I think the important thing to talk about too is that not only do we just have the platform that we prescribe through, but we're also building community. Like, we like to have resources for women to be able to share, information with each other, share experiences, but also like we're building a community for women to learn from each other as well. We have the Winona Women's Facebook group. We have the live meetups. And I think now too, the other thing that we're doing that I think is new and exciting and different is that we're trying to do some corporate wellness. And, we could talk about that too, like trying to bring more focus on women's health into the workplace so that employers are a little bit more cognizant of how to support their employees. Because most women that are going through this at this time in their life are usually at the pinnacle of their career. We've been working hard, and then all of a sudden all these changes and all these symptoms start happening. And it can really be disruptive, especially to a CEO of a company, a an entrepreneur, anything. So I think that, it's important that we're doing that too, and putting some of our time and energy into trying to help women in those spaces, so that it's beyond just trying to help individual patients, but trying to make life as a whole better for women everywhere, is our goal.
That's amazing. Well, our Facebook says it's live, but it's not showing all of us. So I think we're having a kink today. Maybe today's not our day for the webinar.
This may be the shortest.
Well, thank goodness for Melanie coming out tonight and putting some questions in there.
Right? I think this literally goes down in history as the shortest webinar in the history of Winona webinars, at least that I've been on. I don't know about you. Yeah. I mean, that's
usually
okay.
have more questions than we can answer, and we're here all night, which is fun.
Yeah, thank you, Melanie, for asking your questions. And if you think of anything, you know where to find us. Hopefully, Melanie, are you a Winona patient? I assume you are.
This is 3 weeks, yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay, good. Well, yay. Who, if either of these, well, it would probably be Dr. Green, right? Is Dr. Green your physician?
What's that?
I was just asking her if you were her doctor. Do you do Wisconsin?
I do. But,
I do Michigan,
no.
but not Wisconsin.
But yeah, there's other doctors in Wisconsin as well. So.
Oh, we have a question. What are the reasons to stop HRT after you've been on it?
Well, I mean, I think they're all, individualized. I think that the reasons would be personal for you. If you're experiencing side effects or problems with HRT, you discuss that with your doctor, and we can talk about the risks and benefits of continuing, changing your dosage versus stopping. If for any reason you get a significant medical problem, just in the natural course of your life that somehow would make HRT no longer safe for you, that would be a hard stop. And that's something that you'd want to discuss with your doctor right away. These would be if you got a new diagnosis of a cancer. That would be a really important thing to let us know, because some cancers can be fed by hormones. And so once you have a personal history of cancer, especially of the breast or of the female genital tract, then that would really be a reason for you to stop HRT. Another hard stop would be if you develop a blood clot. And some of us may be genetically predisposed to those or might have other risk factors for that. But if you get what's called a DVT or a deep vein thrombosis or a PE, a pulmonary embolus, those are absolute hard stop that you need to stop HRT. So those are the main big ones. But as far as if you're just feeling ready and you feel like you've been on it for a long time and you want to try to go off of it, then that's something that's a reason why some women decide, they said, well, I think I'm over the hump of the worst part of it. I want to see how I do without the medication. Then we can try to stop the HRT and see how you feel. But it's really something that you have an ongoing conversation. And in the medical community, we like to talk about shared decision-making, right? So, long ago, it was this very paternalistic way of like, the doctor tells you what to do and here's your order, you do it. Now we like to have conversations. We like to lay out your buffet of options for you. And we like to talk about it and really come to a shared decision-making process with you about what might be best for you as the patient. It's really a conversation and a dialogue that we like to have with you and come up with a plan, because as a patient, you're much more likely to do well in your treatment, to be compliant with your treatment if you were part of that decision-making process to decide on that particular treatment. So, I think it's a way that medicine has evolved and healthcare has evolved for the positive compared to, 20, 30 years ago.
Plus, you're the one living in your body. And so you got to tell us how this is making you feel and what it's important to you. Because, you're the one that's going to get the benefits. You're the ones that are taking the risk. And so you're the one that ultimately has to decide. I mean, I always see myself really as an educator. My job as a physician is to explain things in ways you can understand so that you can decide what's the right thing for you. And I think that's the right way to do medicine. That's the approach we take at Winona. That's why we do the Q&As. That's why we have so many resources, educational resources at Winona. Is an informed patient is a better, happier patient because they're getting the treatment that's best going to be suited for them individually. rather than just a cookie cutter, like this is what you get.
Right.
Yeah. Well, friends, I wish I could get the live stream working on Facebook. We're also having an issue tonight with that. So I know we're connected to all of you through our platform, but yeah, it seems as if we're just not having an easy time with Facebook. So unless anybody has any objections, we can call
Well,
it.
it looks like Melanie had another set of questions that she just put in.
So sorry. Melanie, hi, thank you. Do the symptoms ever go away in time, and will sleep always be an issue?
Well, so the question, I mean, the answer to that is that yes. So usually the worst symptoms of perimenopause and menopause are from the sudden hormone fluctuations that you're getting as your body is going through the decline of its own estrogen production from your ovaries as we age. So if you didn't take any medication, would those hot flashes and night sweats get better with time? Yes, they would. So sleep is an often very, very common issue for a lot of patients, but sleep is also one of those things that tends to be a continued issue as we age. We have these normal rhythms and circadian rhythms in our body, and sometimes as we age and our body ages and our brain ages, even with the hormone changes, it's a constellation of different things that can happen. But it's not uncommon for women into their 60s and 70s, even after they're over the worst part of their menopause symptoms, to continue having problems with sleep and insomnia, staying asleep, getting quality sleep. Unfortunately, that's way too common. And I've heard it from, I don't know how many patients over the years, but also I've seen it in relatives as well, that sleep becomes this, this nebulous dream that a lot of people, they can't achieve good sleep or can't stay asleep for long without some kind of help as we get older. And it's unfortunate because, it's probably one of the things that would be most restorative for many of us. And we all function our best if we get good sleep, so it's something that we have to work at.
Well, you guys, Dr. Green, you don't have this issue, but Kat, do you have sleep issues related to perimenopause?
Well, I did. My biggest issue, I think, that one of my sleep issues has been iatrogenic, meaning that it's been caused by my profession. So as an OBGYN, most of the time when we do call in the hospital, we're in the hospital for 24 hours. It's very disordered sleep. Babies like to come in the wee hours of the night. So I would say that for the bulk of my career, I've had very dysfunctional sleep. And so as a result, I could sleep anywhere, anyhow. I've fallen asleep standing up when I was in the Army, in the back of a room. I can fall asleep sitting up, but then in perimenopause and with the constellation of other symptoms, suddenly I was having a hard time getting quality sleep and staying asleep. That was my biggest issue. Even when I wasn't on my hospital calls, I would have the opportunity to sleep for 8 hours, but then I couldn't stay asleep. I'd get up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., throw the covers off. I'm hot, night sweats, and then all of a sudden, then you get cold and then you're putting the covers back on. Meanwhile, if you have a bed partner, they're going crazy because every time you're up, going to the bathroom or throwing the covers off, like they don't understand what's happening. Or if you're like me, you secretly turn the thermostat down and then my husband's like freezing. But yeah.
You're like, I'm just going to adjust this. No one's paying attention. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It wasn't. Yeah. Sleep, I think. Well, and then that's the other piece, I think, right? When your sleep is disrupted, then it affects all the other things about your body's ability to, keep weight off, the cortisol, all the things that sort of go out back, right, as a result of not sleeping. And sleep just makes people function better in general, let alone, all the other unfortunate parts of the body that it affects when you don't get enough. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. What about you? Are you struggling with sleep too?
A little bit. I'm also, like, everyone used to sort of joke that I had like narcolepsy. I can fall asleep anywhere as well. Maybe not standing up, but definitely I don't usually have trouble falling asleep. And it's not trouble falling asleep as trouble staying asleep. So I probably wake up like 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's cats, though. Sometimes it's not perimenopause.
Oh.
Sometimes it's pets. There's a circus that happens at my house. So, sometime between
cats are very nocturnal. That's when they like to play and sneak through the house.
Yeah.
Territory fights over your bed like ours do.
Yeah, it's like WWF. Like someone will get on the headboard, and
like, don't fight on me.
Everybody, or they're running across the bed, across you. So there's a lot of that happening. But I think just it's so frustrating because I don't take anything to sleep. Like I don't do any sleeping pills or anything like that. So if I wake up, I'm up. And, usually, I don't know if you try to do the thing where you like hardly try to open your eyes so that you don't wake all the way up, like, but you're awake, right? You're like, I'm up, I'm kind of awake. So yeah, but usually it's sort of a grab bag. Some nights it's really truly perimenopause and some nights it's animals, but the combo either way makes me really cranky and tired. And we're still, if you forgot to order an espresso pod. So then it's a real problem because then there's not proper caffeine. Yeah, it's my least favorite thing, but I guess there are worse things. And the hot flash stuff, I feel like, I don't know. For me, it comes and goes like most people, but I feel like there are sometimes where it's more present, and I'm just like, oh God. But the having like sweat, like a wet, sweaty bed that you have to like either you want to put like a towel down or like change your sheets because it's like, or you roll up the other side of the bed because you now sweated your way through. You're just like, oh, gross.
So when I moved back to Pennsylvania, I upgraded and treated myself to a very special bed, and I don't recommend it for everybody because it's expensive, but Tempur-Pedic, I've always wanted one. And they make a version of their Tempur-Pedic mattress that the very top layer is a cooling layer.
Oh, no.
And I love it. It was like the best investment ever, especially with perimenopause. Like it has made my sleep quality so much better because I don't have that problem of sweating in the sheets anymore.
That's awesome.
Because it like responds to your body temperature. And I don't really know the science behind what it does, but I just know that the top of my mattress, when I first get in the bed, it's actually cold and it's nice. Like I have to bundle up.
Oh yeah.
It's like cold, crisp sheets. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it.
See, I like when my dog and cat pre-warm my side of the bed for me.
Yep. Do they just pick your side, your pets?
Oh no. I mean,
they're equal opportunity. I have one cat who like knows he'll go right to like my side with the pillow and he lays and waits there most nights. If he's not on the couch, he'll go wait for you. So yeah, then it is nice and toasty, which is cute. But then sometimes he doesn't want to move. And I'm kind of like, I need to lay here. It's my spot. He doesn't move. So,
well, I'm bigger than them, so they move.
Yeah.
It's like, you want to get laid on?
Oh, animals. Gotta love them. Okay, I think we're down to the 3 of us and 1 person. So unless anyone else listening would like to ask a question, we're going to probably hop offline.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melanie. She's in it to win it. Right. Melanie, Team Melanie. We love it.
Melanie. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Everyone have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.
See you next month.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining the Menopause Hour, brought to you by Winona. Menopause care made easy. To learn more, find Winona at bywinona.com and on Instagram at bywinona. Want to have your questions answered next? Register for our upcoming live Q&A, linked in the show notes.